Who among us doesn't dream of being number one in a world full of competitions and rankings? From school rankings to follower counts, and even restaurants that care only about reviews and stars, everything is based on rankings. But what you don't know is that not everything you see is real. This world is full of lies. On the shores of Akami Island, a place where everything depends on games, a new student arrives at the orientation ceremony. His name is Shinohara Hiruto. As soon as he arrives, he shocks the students and arrogantly says to them, "How are you, you bunch of losers? I am the new 7th star in the next 2 years. Only one person will take the top spot and rule over you, and of course, that person will be me. Whether you're a prince or even a king, come face me. I'll be ready anytime. But you'll see nothing from me but defeat and humiliation. No matter how hard you try, you losers, the highest rank in the academy will be mine." He finishes his speech, and everyone on the island has heard him. But let me tell you, all of that was a lie. Yes, my friend, all of it. So, what's the story behind this academy? And what led to all of this? Let's go back a few hours. This, my friend, is Akami Island, an island in the middle of the sea, equipped with the latest technology to support students. All of this is provided by one company, the leading Sayonji Corporation. The main ranking system here is based on stars. Unlike any other school, the main activity here is games. Students challenge each other in various games to collect stars. The stars here determine your life and status from a single star all the way to the person who can gather 7 stars and earn the title of 7th star, the strongest player on Akami Island. We see our protagonist, Shinohara, as an ordinary student who has just arrived on the island and doesn't know his way around. He doesn't even understand the maps. While walking, he meets a beautiful girl with red hair and asks her where Emi Academy is. She tells him it's in the 4th district, not here. She's surprised that he doesn't know the maps. Shinohara tells her he's just arrived. She starts explaining to him that the device they give them is the key to everything here. All the maps are on it, and you can also find out a person's name and all their information, but only if they are ranked lower than you. There's also a social media app, but the most important of all is the gaming app. That's where you send and receive all game requests. So basically, it's the most important thing. She then takes him to the 4th district gate and tells him to continue on his own to make it to the orientation ceremony. But as she's walking away, the water fountain suddenly activates randomly and literally soaks her. It's obvious that there were repairs going on in that area. But conspiracy theory mode kicks in immediately, and she says to him, "So this was your plan all along? I suspected you from the start. How can a student on Akami Island not know how to use the device? And why of all places were you lost in the 3rd district? You wanted to lure me here from the beginning just to humiliate me like this." He tries to explain himself, but she won't listen. She declares, "I challenge you to a game." He thinks to himself, "This fast? I literally just got here? But all right, if this is what it takes for you to hear me out, then I agree." He just stands there, clueless, and she snaps, "How long are you going to keep pretending to be clueless?" The player with the lower rank has to send the game request. He sends the request, but since he's a beginner, he sends an empty request. This makes her even angrier because, on Akami Island, an empty request means the challenger is claiming they can win at any game, no matter what. She says, "Fine, I'll make you pay for insulting me." She chooses the game, and the area around them begins to transform. The game will be a reflex challenge. The rules are as follows. The first person to show any reaction loses. The game is divided into rounds, each lasting 1 minute. During your round, you're allowed to do anything to force your opponent to react, whether by attacking, making faces, or even telling a joke to make them laugh. If you react, the cameras catch it, and you lose. She tells him, "Hurry up and choose your abilities." Shinohara has no idea what these abilities even are. He says, "It doesn't matter, I'll manage." This only provokes her more, because it implies he doesn't need abilities to win. She vows, "I swear I'll make you regret this." And just like that, things escalate dramatically. The game begins, and it's his turn first. He's about to make his move, but she uses an ability called numerical adjustment and reduces his round from 1 minute to just 6 seconds. "Wait, what? That's cheating," she smirks. "No one said you couldn't use abilities." His round ends in a flash, and now it's her turn. She quickly uses another ability and materializes a lightsaber, going on the offensive. Shinohara miraculously dodges every strike without showing any reaction. Meanwhile, students start gathering around to watch the match. She thinks to herself, it's only a matter of time. Once he gets tired, he won't be able to control his reactions, or one of my hits will land. Victory is mine for sure. But unfortunately for her, the fountain activates again and soaks her a second time. She looks around and realizes a large crowd of students has gathered, watching her. In a moment like this, she can't handle the embarrassment, and the cameras capture everything. Yes, my friend, the winner of this game is Shinohara Hiruto. As a result, ownership of her stars is transferred to him. The students are in shock, unable to believe that the Empress herself has lost. At that moment, a servant approaches him and tells him the director wants to see him. He goes to meet her, and the director says, "You've caused a disaster. It's only your first day, and you've already done all this?" He replies, "I don't understand what the problem is. Aren't games supposed to be a main activity here?" She says, "That's right, but this time it's different. The problem is who you defeated. That girl is from the Saionji Academy. She scored the highest on the entrance exam and holds the top rank as the only 7th star on the island. She has never lost a single game. She is known as Empress Saionji Sarsa. Saionji, my friend from the family that founded Academy Island and oversees it. The current president of the academy is her grandfather. So, someone like you, an unknown who scored the lowest on the entrance exam in the academy's history impossible. There's no way her grandfather will stay silent." He asks, "What do you mean? Am I expelled?" She replies, "If only it were that simple. Unfortunately, expelling you won't solve the problem. There's only one way out for you now. You must become the 7th star." He's shocked. She explains, "The issue here is that Saionji Sarsa lost to an ordinary person, but if it were said that she lost to someone of her own level, then it would be acceptable." He says, "Wait a minute, 7th star, who? Saionji who? I barely have 1 star?" She tells him, "Relax, you're actually lucky. Look at the star you have." He looks and sees that his star is red. Normally, stars are white. She says, "That star you have is not ordinary. There are only 10 colored stars on the island that have been discovered so far. Each one possesses a special ability. Among them is the red star you have, and its power allows you to tell one lie, any lie you want." She continues, "Yes, we're going to use the red star's power to falsify the data that says you're a 1-star student and make you a 7th star. The story will be this: a genius student who broke every record in the entrance exam and became the 7th star on his very first day. A bit of a weak story, but it'll work." He's not processing any of this and asks, "Who am I? And who are you people?" She says, "The choice is yours. If you're not on board, you'd better pack your things and leave the island today. But really, are you going to give up that easily? You must have come to the island to achieve a certain goal, right?" At that moment, he remembers his goal and says, "Fine, I'll do what you want. I'll become the new 7th star." And what happened next? We already know. He stepped onto the platform and set the place on fire, just like we saw at the beginning of the video. The director keeps laughing and says to him, "You surprised me. Who would have thought all of that would come from you? My decision was right." He tells her, "Enough with the jokes. Just tell me where I'm supposed to stay." She replies, "I've arranged suitable accommodation for you. I'll send you the location on your device later. I'm excited to see what happens in the coming days." He gathers himself and heads to the accommodation. But on the way, Sarsa stops him. She says, "I saw your speech today. Tell me, what exactly is your goal? Even though you've discovered my secret, I haven't told anyone yet. I know I'm being selfish, but I have my reasons for wanting to keep this lie going." He says, "What secret? I don't understand anything." She tells him, "Are you going to keep playing dumb? You know I'm not the real Saionji Sarsa. My real name is Kapani Rina. For over a year, I've been impersonating her and winning games. And I know that if I lost, everything would be exposed." She continues, "The red star's power allows you to tell one lie, but in return, the person who receives it will eventually discover the truth behind that lie. Since you have it now, you must have figured it out." Shinohara then shocks her by saying, "No, you've misunderstood. Before you told me just now, I didn't know anything. I really just arrived on the island yesterday, and I don't know anything. I'm not even a real 7th star. Yes, I'm telling you the truth. That's the lie I've been telling. My real rank is just 1 star, the only star I took from you." She finally processes the situation and realizes she has exposed herself. More importantly, Shinohara also realizes that she's not the real Saionji Sarsa. That means even if he had beaten her, the president wouldn't have said anything to him. There was never any real reason for him to become a 7th star. What a mess, my friend. He then heads to his accommodation, which turns out to be the presidential palace. Not just any housing. They've even provided him with a professional servant to help with the plan. She introduces herself and says her name is Himagi, a student at Oka Academy, assigned here by the director. She'll be responsible for making the plan succeed and will help him in any way possible. They start talking, and Shinohara asks what she can do. She prepares a feast for him, claiming it's the least she can do. It's literally the best meal he's ever had. Looks like the director doesn't mess around. After they finish eating, it's time for business. She disconnects the network in the area to ensure no one is spying on them otherwise. They'd be in big trouble. She begins explaining. Academy Island consists of 20 districts, each with 1 academy, making a total of 20 academies on the island. They are ranked each year based on points and student rankings. For example, students with 5 stars or more are considered advanced students. The more advanced students an academy has, the higher its rank. And if an academy has a 7-star student, they're guaranteed to be at the top. That's why everyone on the island targets the 7 stars. She adds, "Of course, if you were a real 7th star, defending your title would be easy. But in your case, I have to tell you it's impossible. unusual. He asks her, "Why are you saying that?" She replies, "The reason is your entrance exam score, the worst in the Academy's history. I don't even know how you got accepted. But anyway, the second problem is that your real rank is 1 star, which means you can only use level 1 abilities. It's basically like fighting the final boss while you're still at level 1. He says, "This turned out to be worse than I imagined." She tells him to check his game requests, and he's shocked to find 42 pending challenges. It's only natural. After the speech he gave, he's now universally hated. She picks one for him and says, "Let's start with this one." He exclaims, "This fast?" She explains, "Right now, all eyes are on you, and a lot of people are doubting your abilities. You need to move quickly and prove yourself." Shinohara asks, "But I still don't understand how you're going to help me win. Aren't all games one-on-one? How can I possibly win under these circumstances?" She replies, "That requires some thinking. We're going to cheat, of course." She hands him earphones, and suddenly the company's head of electronics is on the line. She introduces herself as Kaguya. Despite her personality, she's a genius at hacking. The plan is this. Kaguya will hack into your opponent's device and exploit vulnerabilities to secure your win. Your job is to act naturally, so no one suspects anything. I don't need to tell you that if we get caught, the penalty is immediate expulsion. It looks like dark days are ahead, but he remembers his ultimate goal and says, "Fine, whether by cheating or anything else, I'll do whatever it takes to become the strongest." And sure enough, my friend, the next day he plays his first match and wins easily without getting caught. He walks away, unable to believe it actually worked. He tells them, "You guys are amazing. From now on, I'm relying on you completely." He then heads to the academy, and his class holds a contest to decide who will give Shinohara a tour of the place. While walking around, he gets a call from Himaji, who tells him they've received a suitable challenge. The challenger is Urosaka Haru, a third-year student. He quickly heads to the new challenge location. It turns out to be a huge event organized by a media organization called Libra, which covers news on the island and broadcasts major challenges and matches, including today's. He enters a large arena, and the match is even being televised. It's the perfect opportunity to prove himself. The commentator begins introducing the players. The challenger is Urosaka Haru, a 3-star student whose hobby is cycling. And on the other side, the arrogant genius student who shocked everyone by becoming a 7th star on his first day. She asks him if he's excited. Shinohara replies, "What is there to be excited about? My victory is guaranteed anyway." They invite Saionji Sarsa as a guest of honor to participate in the analysis. They ask Urosaka to choose the game they'll play, and she picks the 100 meter race. But with a twist, any means of transportation is allowed. She says, "I'm confident in my speed," and chooses her bicycle, which turns out to be more like a rocket than an ordinary bike. Guest star Sarsa comments that the race result will be determined by vehicle speed. But Shinohara shocks everyone by deciding to go on foot. "You crazy fool." They get into starting position, and Urosaka tells him, "Since the time for choosing abilities has passed, I should let you know I'm using the intervention cancellation ability. No matter what abilities you use, you won't be able to stop me." Shinohara coolly replies, "Let's just get this over with. I have other challenges after this." The countdown begins, and the race starts. Urosaka activates her abilities and takes off at maximum speed, while Shinohara has barely taken his first step. But at that moment, her motorcycle malfunctions, and she goes flying through the air. At the last second, her safety device activates and saves her. Shinohara starts walking calmly and says to them, "Did you really think a 7th star like me wouldn't see through her plan from the beginning? My victory was guaranteed." We flash back to minutes before the challenge. Himaji tells him, Urosaka's main ability is speed limit removal. Her second is acceleration, and her third is a defensive ability called intervention cancellation, which nullifies any external interference. We need to disable that so Kaguya can hack her. So we'll use the complete disruption ability across all 3 slots. It's a support ability that temporarily cancels defensive abilities, which is why many people don't know about it, including intervention cancellation. At your current level, one ability isn't enough, so we're using it across all 3 slots. Sure enough, as soon as Urosaka takes off, the ability activates, Kaguya hacks the system, and disables her bike. Shinohara starts showing off, telling them, "The first ability I used was complete disruption at level 9. The second was forced stop at level 10. That's the safety device that activated on you. I wouldn't have been able to sleep at night if something had happened to you." He reaches the finish line completely relaxed, and the entire crowd cheers for him. He can't believe it actually worked. As he's leaving, he meets Sarsa, who says, "What a shame. I was hoping to see you humiliated." She hands him a card with an address and tells him to meet her there. 5 minutes later, he arrives at the location, and Sarsa decides to tell him everything. She says, "The real Saionji Sarsa was kidnapped a year ago. But strangely, the kidnapper never asked for anything. Originally, members of the Saionji family never go out before high school. They provide them with private tutors and even choose their friends for them. I was talented and smart, so they chose me. The plan was for me to impersonate her to see how the kidnapper would react. It was easy, since no one knows what the real Sarsa looks like. And until the real Sarsa returns, I have to maintain her reputation no matter what. I can't let my secret be exposed. That means you can't lose. Aside from the fact that I'd be exposed, don't forget that then the director would have no reason to protect you. In short, if you lose, my secret is exposed, and you'll be expelled from the academy. Shinohara then remembers his goal and says, I can't be expelled right now. Actually, I'm also looking for someone, a childhood friend of mine. I haven't seen her in years, and I'm sure she's here on this island. Until I find her, I can't be expelled. The only solution is for me to make this lie a reality. That way, both our secrets will never be exposed. Since their interests align, they decide to form a secret alliance. Sure enough, the next day they meet and pretend to hate each other in front of the students. But at that moment, a strange student appears on the rooftop, laughing as he descends. He says, My name is Kuisagi Sirag, the person who will make you taste defeat. This guy, my friend, is one of Sarsa's obsessive fans. He considers her his idol and worships her excessively, a simp, in other words. Shinohara tells him, I'll face you, but with one condition. The loser is permanently banned from challenging the Empress. Shinohara plays on his weakness, provoking him further by saying, If you're afraid to lose, just say so. I won't blame you. But this simp takes it personally and says, Fine, I challenge you to a duel 2 days from now. I'll prove to everyone that you beat Sarsa through cheating, nothing more. The next day, they meet in disguise to plan their strategy against Kuisagi. They arrive at the accommodation, but as soon as Sarsa sees Himagi, she tries to hide and asks, What is she doing here? It turns out they know each other. Himagi says, I used to serve the Saionji family a year ago. In other words, she's one of the few people who knows Rina's secret. She then takes them to the meeting room and begins explaining the game Kuisagi chose. It's called The 27 Shapes, a card-collecting game where you compete over numbers. The game is divided into 2 stages. The first stage is where players collect scattered cards distributed across 20 locations within the 4th district, a total of 20 cards overall. Initially, the locations of the first 5 cards will be revealed. After that, every 5 minutes, the location of a new card will be shown. Cards are collected manually, meaning you have to go to the card's location for your device to scan it. You're allowed to use vehicles after all 20 cards have been collected. Then comes the second stage, the reveal stage. Each player will choose their top 5 cards from what they've collected and face off card by card. The card with the higher number wins. In other words, you need to win 3 out of 5 rounds to win the game. She finishes explaining and tells him, There's something important you need to know. In the past, there have been many matches between 1-star players and 5-star players. But let me assure you, not once has a 1-star player ever won. Sarsa adds. Not only that, remember the numerical adjustment skill? That skill allows you to modify numerical values within the game. So even though the highest card here is valued at 20, if Kuisagi uses numerical adjustment, he can push it up to 30. Honestly, your chances of winning are almost non-existent. But of course, all of that was under fair play. Now let's talk about cheating, the key to winning this game. During the collection phase, if you can gather most of the high-numbered cards, even if Kuisagi uses numerical adjustment, you can still win. Sarsa tells him, Kuisagi always uses an ability called emergency production. That ability allows him to summon a third party and bring them into the game. Kuisagi has a club with 300 members, which he considers his army. In other words, he can bring up to 300 players into the game. As for his last ability, don't worry about it. It's called Black Wings, and it allows him to create effects like smoke and lightning just for show, nothing more. Shinohara asks them, What do you think? Are there any 1-star abilities that could work in this game? Himagi replies, There's an ability called Glitch. As the name suggests, it lets you disrupt your opponent's device. There's also a Luck ability, which increases the chances of high-numbered cards appearing near you. And finally, numerical adjustment. But I don't think it'll be useful since the game relies mostly on the collection phase. He tells them, All right, for now, that's the best possible strategy. The meeting ends, and after Sarsa leaves, Himagi tells him, Sarsa has been avoiding me constantly for about a year now. We used to be very close, but suddenly she started pulling away. I suspect she's hiding something about herself and the Saionji family. The next day, the match arrives. Libra Organization is covering the event. The game begins. Shinohara uses Glitch to alter the card locations on Kuisagi's screen. He also uses Luck, and cards 14 and 17 end up on his path. He starts with 14, since it's closer. Himagi tells him, I've arranged transportation for you to get to card 17 afterward. Everything is going according to plan. But suddenly, something strange happens. Kuisagi collects his first card. Strange. With the glitch ability, he shouldn't be able to see card locations, but it must have been a coincidence. Then suddenly, Himagi tells him that Kuisagi has collected a second card. Shinohara is confused. He looks at his screen and sees that the number of revealed cards hasn't changed. That means Kuisagi collected a card whose location hasn't been revealed yet. Could it be a coincidence? But Kuisagi surprises them even more more by collecting a third card. No way this is coincidence. Shinohara then realizes what's happening. Kuisagi isn't using numerical adjustment. He's replaced it with a detection ability. At that moment, he hears Kuisagi's voice on his device, saying, "My Black Wings ability isn't just for show. It allows me to project my voice from a distance. Let me give you some advice, since you're a beginner in this game. If you keep going like this, the match will end in my absolute victory." Shinohara checks the card locations and notices that 5 minutes have passed, yet no new card has appeared. How is that possible? A new location is supposed to be revealed every 5 minutes. Then it hits him. Kuisagi is collecting cards, whose locations are still unknown, and that act of collecting itself counts as a reveal. If he keeps collecting unknown cards, the screen won't show any new locations. To even reach the reveal stage, you need at least 3 cards. So if Kuisagi manages to collect 18 out of 20 cards, the game is effectively over. Himaji calls him and says, "Even the transportation I arranged for you has been intercepted by Kuisagi's followers. That means he's started using emergency production. The plan is literally falling apart. What now?" But Shinohara keeps his cool and decides to push forward. After some struggle, he finally reaches card 14 and collects his first card. But now the problem is how to get to card 17. It's far away, and the transportation Himaji arranged is already wrecked, not to mention the possibility that Kuisagi might get there first. But luckily for him, he runs into Urosaka. She gives him a ride on her way and says, "Now we're even," then leaves him and goes. He continues on his way, but unfortunately, the card is placed in a high location. He manages to grab it, but his footing slips and he falls from above. At the same time, Kuisagi has been collecting cards and has reached card 11. Shinohara wakes up injured, and his earpiece has fallen out. He's in a tough spot. Sarsa arrives and tells him, "You need to go to the hospital." Shinohara is hurt, bleeding from his head, but he laughs and says, "After all this, you think I'll give up? Not before I see her again. She was always looking for new ways to take me out to new places. That's why I can't get expelled before I find her. Besides, if I lose, you'll suffer too. I have to protect your lie at any cost." Sarsa tells him, "Everything I told you was a lie. The story about Sarsa being kidnapped, all of it was fake. Sarsa dreamed of going to a normal school, so I made it look like a kidnapping and helped her escape the island. But either way, the lie will eventually be exposed when Sarsa graduates in 2 years. I lied to you. You're just a victim, nothing more." Shinohara smiles and says, "Finally, it all makes sense now. To make your friend's dream come true, you challenged the Saionji family and deceived everyone. Honestly, that's impressive." Himaji arrives and tells him that Kuisagi has collected 16 cards so far, only 2 cards left, and he guarantees victory. Since their locations won't be revealed, Shinohara will end the phase with only 2 cards. It seems like the end. But do you really think he'll lose that easily, my friend? An idea strikes him, and he asks, "Is there any ability that can change the rules?" Sarsa replies, "Yes. The most famous one is Rule Breaker, but you need to be 6 stars or higher to use it." He says, "That doesn't matter. What matters is that it exists." He asks Himaji if he can use glitch on the main display screen. Himaji tells him she'll do everything she can to make it work. The reveal stage arrives. Shinohara ends the collection phase with only 2 cards. There's no way he can win 3 out of 5 rounds. Kuisagi tells him, "I think you should just surrender, instead of wasting both our time." He plays his first card, and the device drops from his hand. The screen shows that he played 2 cards. The announcer says, "And with that, the reveal stage is over." She's about to declare Kuisagi the winner, but Shinohara stops her. "Wait a minute." He starts laughing and asks Kuisagi, "What do you think are the conditions for ending the game?" Kuisagi replies, "Simple. You win the reveal stage." Shinohara says, "That's the condition for winning the game." "I'm asking about the condition for ending the game," Kuisagi answers. "In that case, both players' cards have to run out." Shinohara says to him, "Looks like you didn't read the rules carefully. I suggest you take another look." Kuisagi checks and finds that the condition has changed. The new condition is that only one player's cards need to run out. This means Shinohara has ended the reveal stage in a draw. Kuisagi gets angry and says, "So, you're using Rule Breaker?" And Shinohara replies, "Who knows? But according to the current rules, the result is a draw. Go ahead, use up your cards, and let's restart." Kuisagi plays all his cards and says, "Even if we play again, you're injured, and I still have my emergency production ability. I'll win anyway." Shinohara laughs again and says, "That means I've already won." He picks up his phone from the ground, revealing that he never actually played his second card. Kuisagi says, "So what? I've already used up all my cards. The result hasn't changed. No one said you changed the rules." Shinohara replies, "Who said I changed them? All I did was change the text displayed on the screen." Kuisagi looks and is shocked to see the rules have reverted to how they were originally. Yes, my friend Shinohara used the glitch ability. First, he pretended to surrender and dropped his phone, making the screen show that he had played both cards. Then he manipulated manipulated the text to make Kuisagi believe the rules had changed. In other words, the reveal stage hasn't actually ended yet. He plays his second card, and since Kuisagi has already used all his cards, the winner is Shinohara. No one can believe it. Shinohara pulls it off and defeats a 5-star player while being only 1 star himself. He's taken to the hospital, and Sarsa tells him, "I never expected you to be hiding your abilities." He replies, "Who do you think I am? Did you forget? I'm the 7th star." Something like this is trivial to me. Meanwhile, the director is talking to Himaji. She asks, "What do you think Shinohara's current rank is?" Himaji replies, "Easy. Shinohara can't earn any stars while pretending to be a 7th star, so his current rank is 1 star. The director says, "You're wrong. His current rank is 2 stars. Shinohara normally can't earn extra stars, but it's different with special stars. When someone owns a special star and loses, that star is taken from them and transferred to the winner." In the last game, Shinohara managed to defeat Kuisagi, the owner of the blue star. In other words, Shinohara is now dual-colored. He has the red star and now the blue star he took from Kuisagi. She continues, "If this keeps up, and Shinohara keeps defeating players with special stars, he'll become the first 7th star in history with 7 colors, a legendary achievement. But the more stars he gets, the greater the danger. That's why I need you to stay by his side." The next day, the director transfers Himaji to Emi Academy so she can be in the same class as him. Coincidentally, it's time for Emi Academy's annual event, called the Elimination Battle. The event is essentially a mass battle between all students. You can challenge any student regardless of their rank, without losing any stars. Literally no risk. During the event, you cannot refuse game requests. They are automatically accepted. All you have to do is get within a certain distance of your opponent and send the request. It will be accepted automatically. The loser will be eliminated from the event. If a game lasts more than 24 hours, the higher-ranked player will also be eliminated. In short, it's a survival competition that doesn't end until only one person remains, and that person is the winner. The event starts tomorrow. Everyone, get ready. One more thing. The top 5 players will be selected to represent the Academy in the Inter-Academy tournament next month. So, those are all the details. During break, Himaji tells him, "We need to come up with a plan to ensure you're the winner. Yes, there are no stars at stake in this event, but you need to maintain your image in front of everyone." He says, "I think the best strategy in this situation is to run away. All I need is to last until the end, until most students are eliminated. If I can keep a safe distance from other students, the request won't go through." At that moment, a girl walks in and introduces herself as Akizuki, a third-year student, meaning she's older than him. He asks what she wants, but she keeps getting closer and tells him that whether he knows it or not, he's currently the most famous person in the academy, and everyone expects him to win. She flirts with him a bit, then says, "See you later," and leaves. Clearly, she's up to something. Himaji warns him, "Be careful with that girl. Despite her looks, her rank is 6 stars. Having her around is dangerous for you." Shortly after, the director summons him and says, "You know how hard I worked to transfer Himaji here? You have no idea how difficult it was." Shinohara understands she wants something and asks, "What do you need from me?" She replies, "I love you, and you know what I mean. Look, right now, 2 strange things are happening at the academy. First, someone from outside the academy is trying to interfere with the event. Most likely, their target is you." He asks, "And the second thing?" She says, "What I'm about to tell you is classified information." Originally, each academy is granted a special star, and they are responsible for protecting it. Emi Academy used to have one too, the green star, but it was stolen. While we were transporting it to use as a prize for the event, suddenly, something strange happened. The system was hacked, and it was stolen. The green star has a special ability. It enhances perception. If it falls into the hands of someone who knows how to use it, no one knows what the consequences could be. There's a high chance that the person trying to interfere with the event is the same one who stole it. That's why you absolutely cannot lose. We need to lure them out. And one last thing, we were planning to give the green star to the winner of the event anyway. Shinohara understands what she means. "You want me to recover the green star?" She replies, "Exactly. In short, you have 3 missions. First, recover the green star. Second, uncover who's trying to interfere with the academy. Third, win the event and claim the green star." Sure enough, the next day, as soon as the event begins, a group of students try to target him, but he manages to escape at the last moment. They keep chasing him everywhere. Himaji suggests using a jamming technique, even temporarily, so they can't pinpoint his location. It works, and the first day is about to end. But minutes before it does, he receives a message from Akizuki, and the jamming gets disabled. At that moment, one of the students seizes the opportunity and sends him a game request. Looks like Akizuki figured out their plan. He accepts the request and, after a struggle, manages to win. He finally returns to the accommodation, marking the end of the first day. But things aren't going to be easy. Himaji tells him, "Given the current situation, I've decided to call in the company's head of electronics. And that, my friend, is Kajiya, the unsung hero responsible for all the hacking and jamming operations we've seen. Kaguya says, I realized it would be hard for you to keep escaping with our current software, so I created a new program. This program takes Himaji's location data and replaces it with yours. So any request sent to your device will be redirected to hers. In short, you can consider her a sacrificial lamb. This move will buy you a few extra days. And if you ever find yourself in a tough spot, I've prepared a backup emergency plan, but unfortunately, you can only use it once. The next day arrives, and the plan works. Unlike Shinohara, Himaji is easily defeating students left and right. No need to worry about her. Shinohara heads off, running to the farthest point. He rests for a bit, but then gets a call from Himaji. She says, we have a problem. Someone unknown has leaked your location to everyone. Right now, over 200 students are heading your way. You need to move now. He tries to run, but suddenly, Akizuki appears right in front of him, and he crashes into her. What are you doing here? She replies, we meet again. She's successfully delayed him. Himagi and the students arrive, surrounding him. He decides it's time to use the emergency plan, and sends a game request to Himaji. Now, no one can send him any requests until his match with Himaji is over. This is the emergency plan Kaguya mentioned. Akizuki says, what a shame, but no matter, I've achieved my goal here. See you later. She leaves him and walks away. What exactly is this girl planning? Night falls, and Himaji is preparing dinner. She realizes some ingredients are missing, so she tells him she's going to the supermarket and will be right back. He waits for her, but over an hour passes and Himaji still hasn't returned. Then he gets a call from her phone. It's Akizuki on the line. Good evening. I was taking a walk earlier and happened to run into your servant. Don't worry, I won't hurt her. She's holding her hostage. Himaji apologizes, saying she won't be able to come back tonight. She adds, the situation has changed. You can't afford to lose our match now. I'm sorry, but no matter what, don't try to win. Akizuki tells him, don't forget our appointment tomorrow, and ends the call. So now, it's confirmed she's behind everything that's been happening. Shortly after, Sarsa arrives, and Shinohara tells her what happened. She's furious because her friend has been kidnapped. Shinohara feels something is off. Yes, Akizuki is smart, but it's nearly impossible for her to pull all of this off alone. The immediate problem, though, is how are they going to beat Himagi? Luckily for them, Kaguya coincidentally shows up at the accommodation, and she's drunk. They fill her in on the situation, and Kaguya is shocked. They calm down, and Kaguya explains the game Himaji chose. It's called the Scalene Triangle, a card game. Each player gets 10 cards, 20 total. Each round, you play one card. The player with the higher card wins and takes both cards. In case of a tie, the cards remain on the table, and the winner of the next round takes all 4 cards. The game continues like this until all cards are played. The player with the most cards at the end wins. So far, it sounds simple, but what makes this game unique is that it's not played with ordinary playing cards. Pay close attention, my friend. The card system in this game consists of 4 categories. First, king cards. Second, knight cards. Third, assassin cards. And finally, citizen cards. The king beats the knight beats the assassin. The assassin is weaker than the knight but can kill the king. And finally, the citizen card, the weakest card of all. But here's where it gets interesting. The citizen card has special abilities that only activate in tie situations. For example, an ability called Trojan Horse. When activated, it allows you to take half the cards your opponent has collected. Another ability is the Undefeated Hero. When triggered, it becomes the strongest card in the game and can beat any card. There's also Forced Choice, which lets you draw any card from your opponent's hand. In short, the citizen card is like a joker. It can completely flip the game. While they're sitting together, Shinohara receives a message from Himagi, telling him the abilities she plans to use in the game. Shinohara is confused. How can she send him her abilities when she's not supposed to be able to win? The abilities are as follows. First is Probability Manipulation, which ensures she gets most of the strong cards in the game. That means Shinohara will be left with citizen and knight cards. The second ability is Forced Control, which allows her to control the opponent's first 3 moves. So Shinohara won't get to play until after the first 3 rounds are over, and Himaji will certainly use this to take all his strong cards. Kaguya tells them, don't worry, this is where I come in. I'll hack the system, and Himaji's plan will fall apart. But then she pauses. Wait a second. Himaji isn't here. We're doomed, guys. Sarsa reassures her, don't worry. When it comes to planning, Himaji and I are on the same level. She starts forming a strategy, and explains that the whole problem lies in the first 3 rounds. If Himaji uses them well, she'll build a huge lead. But if they look at it from another angle, they can predict what Himaji will do. First, there are 2 citizen cards Himaji will try to obtain to block all his options. The first is the Exponential Growth citizen card, which increases the power of all her other cards. The second second is the Trojan horse, which flips the game entirely. In the first round, Himaji will use force control to force a tie. When that happens, her special ability will activate, and she'll steal his Trojan horse. In the second round, she'll play a knight card and take his exponential growth. In the third round, she'll use a king card and take his remaining knight card. By the end of the third round, Himaji will be ahead by 7 cards, meaning he's practically lost. And now it's time for cheating. Among the abilities, there's one called Transformation, a 6-star ability that allows you to give any card a special ability of your choice. For example, could you give a citizen card the ability to swap all the cards you've both collected? If they could use something like that through cheating, the result would be reversed. It all depends on whether Kaguya can create a similar ability. Kaguya thinks it over and says, "It's not easy, but I promise I'll do everything I can." She grabs her laptop and gets to work. After she leaves, Shinohara keeps thinking about Himaji's words. She told me not to try to win, no matter what. Why would she say that? Tomorrow, they'll find out. It's time to sleep. Sarsa comes to him and hands him a specific card. She says, "This card contains a rare ability I bought a while ago. I was saving it for emergencies. Use it if you need it." The next day, the match arrives. Kaguya informs them that she's finished, and the ability is ready to use. Everything is set. The game begins, and Akizuki watches from the sidelines. Just as they predicted, Himaji uses her first ability and gets most of the strong cards. She follows up with force control, giving her control over the first 3 rounds. She plays the first round and wins easily. In the second round, she plays the forced choice citizen card and forces a tie, which allows her to steal any card she wants from him. But strangely, she wastes the opportunity and picks an ordinary card. The third round comes, and Himaji uses the undefeated hero, winning effortlessly. The first 3 rounds are over. Shinohara is confused. Why would Himaji leave him the Trojan horse and pick an ordinary card instead? And on top of that, she used her strongest card in a round she was guaranteed to win anyway. Something is wrong. Himaji is trying to tell him something. She wants him to understand that if she wins, something bad will happen. He tries to think of any hint she gave him and remembers her words. No matter what, don't try to win. He looks at all the cards and finally figures it out. This is what Himagi meant. He calls Kaguya and tells her to cancel the plan. He apologizes to Himaji for being late and says, "Let's continue." The fourth round begins. Shinohara uses a detection ability that lets him predict every card Himaji will play. But surprisingly, despite knowing, he deliberately loses. Akizuki starts getting nervous. The game continues, and the same thing keeps happening. Shinohara keeps losing, round after round. Akizuki gets angry and shouts, "Are you joking? Play for real." He replies, "Shut up and watch." The 9th round arrives. Shinohara plays the Trojan horse citizen card, and the round ends in a tie. Now the final round will decide everything. He plays a citizen card, and Himagi plays the king. Shinohara loses the round, but at that moment, the Trojan horse ability activates, and half the cards Himaji collected are transferred to his pile. Now each of them has exactly 10 cards, and the game ends. Yes, my friend. When Himaji told him not to try to win, she meant for him to aim for a draw. And so, the game ends in a tie, with neither of them being eliminated from the event. They both played it perfectly. Akizuki is about to explode, but forces herself to stay calm. It turns out she had planted a hacking program on Himaji's device. The program could spy and access all the data and information on the device, and more importantly, it was designed to transfer to the winner's device as soon as its owner lost. Himaji realized this and decided to cut all communications, sending him a message not to try to win. Now Akizuki starts screaming, "How? How did you win? After all the effort I put into preparing this, there's nothing I hate more than cheaters. I spent all these years working hard and improving myself. And then you come along and steal everything from me with cheating. Remember when I told you you're the most famous student in the academy now? Last year, the same poll was conducted, and I was the most famous until you came along. All the students started liking you more than me, so I had to get revenge. I planned this to make you face each other, so you'd lose the one helping you in the event." Honestly, my friend, Shinohara doesn't know whether to be happy or sad. He really has been cheating and stealing her efforts, but now he's sure that someone from outside has been helping her. There's no way she could have done all this alone, planting a hacking program on Himaji's device. He tells her, "You'd better tell us who's helping you. Your plan has been exposed." But Akizuki says, "It's not over yet. The program has a second ability that activates if the first one fails, a destructive ability that erases all the data on the device. As soon as I do this, Himaji will cease to exist on the island." She takes her hostage and says, "How about one final game between us? But this time, it'll be a real game. We bet on stars. I'm tired. If you want me to return her to you, then lose to me and confess to everyone that you've been cheating. I already know everything about you revolves around around Himagi. At that moment, Shinohara is convinced. The only explanation for her knowing all this is the green star, the one that enhances perception. She says, "This time, I won't give you the chance to tie. Get ready to lose." And indeed, my friend, under these circumstances, Shinohara has no choice but to agree. The game Akizuki chose turns out to be a treasure hunt. In this game, each player chooses a partner that's the treasure. You have to hide them while also trying to find your opponent's partner. In this case, the treasure Shinohara needs to find is Himagi. The game field will be Emi Academy. The academy has 6 floors, with each classroom or room considered a square, 8 squares per floor. You can hide your treasure in any of these spots. On your turn, you have 4 commands you can use. The first is ask. You simply ask your opponent if they've hidden their partner in a certain location, and they must answer truthfully or lose. Based on these questions, you try to guess the treasure's location. The second command is move. This allows you to move 3 squares in any direction you choose. The third is answer. You use this when you're sure of the treasure's location. All rooms will be locked, and the only way to open them is by using answer. But you have to be in front of the square for the door to open. So even if you know the location, if you haven't reached that square yet, you can't use answer. Each player has 3 answer attempts. That means you can use answer 3 times. If you fail 3 times, your attempts run out and you lose the game. The fourth and final command is withdraw, which allows you to change your partner's hiding spot if your opponent manages to guess their location. However, using it also consumes 1 answer attempt. Don't worry, my friend, we'll understand more in a moment. The game begins. Shinohara's chosen partner is Sarsa, who is disguised so no one recognizes her. Akizuki starts her turn. She uses her first command and asks if his partner is hidden on the 3rd floor or below. Since he can't lie, he answers no. This means the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd floors are all ruled out. She then uses move and shifts 3 squares to the right. Her turn ends. Now it's Shinohara's turn, but Akizuki surprises him by using an illegal ability that allows her to take 2 turns in a row. Shinohara protests. Right from the start, she asks again if his partner is on the 5th floor or above. Shinohara answers no. Akizuki now confirms that his partner is on the 4th floor. Unbelievable. She's almost there in just her first turn. She decides to toy with him and moves 1 square to the right. Now, her turn really ends. It's Shinohara's turn. The first thing he does is use a delay ability, extending his turn to half an hour. Now he has time to think. He calls Sarsa, and she tells him, "I think I've understood all the rules. The key to winning this game lies in the 3 answer attempts. If you can pressure her into wasting them, we can win. But the problem, my friend, is that even if Shinohara wins, Akizuki will destroy Himaji's device, and she'll be expelled from the island. If he loses, then his secret and Sarsa's secret will be exposed, and he'll also be expelled. So either way, he's doomed." But Shinohara reassures her, "I have a plan. An eye for an eye, cheating for cheating. She'll regret trying to use cheating against me." The game continues. Shinohara asks a question and deduces that she's not on the first 3 floors. He then moves 3 squares and ends his turn. Akizuki's turn comes. Thanks to her ability, she narrows it down to 2 possible locations. She moves 2 squares to the right and ends her turn. Now it's Shinohara's turn again. He calls Kajiya and asks if she can locate Himagi via signal, but Kajiya tells him it's impossible. Akizuki has used a barrier ability on the entire building, blocking any external interference. Looking back, she was the one who disabled the jamming and leaked his location to the students earlier. So she's using programs too. Kajiya says there is another solution, but it's nearly impossible to execute. The Academy's devices are incredibly advanced. If there were someone genius enough to modify them, we could use them to cheat and locate Himagi. But where would we find such a person? Shinohara tells her there is a genius who scored the highest on the entrance exam. And indeed, Sarsa racks her brain and manages to pinpoint Himaji's location. Shinohara asks Akizuki, "Is your partner hidden in classroom 4 on the 2nd floor?" Akizuki is shocked and answers yes. "Are you cheating again?" she demands. He replies, "Enough with the accusations. You dragged me into this unprepared, and I haven't had time to do anything." He then moves 3 squares, leaving him just 2 squares away from Himaji's location. But of course, it's not that easy. It's Akizuki's turn, and with just 2 questions, she pinpoints Sarsa's location. She uses her ability to move 6 squares at once, leaving her only 3 squares away. She also uses an answer attempt and decides to relocate Himagi. At that moment, the signal disappears from her device. It seems she's realized they've been cheating. But the good thing is, they've made her waste an answer attempt, just as planned. While standing there, Shinohara coincidentally runs into Himagi as she's heading to the new location. Of course, the rules forbid her from speaking or even hinting at anything that could harm her partner. She apologizes for putting him in this situation, but Shinohara reassures her, "After 10 o'clock, it'll get cold, so you'd better keep the room warm." She thanks him for his concern and continues on her way. Shinohara Shinohara tells Sarsa, Akizuki can read minds thanks to the green star's power. The proof is that she predicted all my moves during the event. But if she could read everyone's mind, she would have seen through Himaji's plan in our match, or predicted that you'd find Himaji. That means she can only read my thoughts. So she'll definitely hide Himaji somewhere I wouldn't expect. On his turn, he decides to use the withdraw command and changes Sarsa's location. When it's time for questions, he asks if Himaji is hidden in one of 3 specific classrooms. Akizuki is stunned and answers yes. Furious, she yells, How? How do you know? This time I'm sure you couldn't have cheated. Simply put, my friend, Sarsa used logical deduction. Akizuki can read his thoughts, so she'll try to hide her somewhere far from him. Shinohara was on the 2nd floor, so naturally she'd rule that out. She wouldn't risk hiding her on the same floor he's on. The 1st floor is also ruled out because he could pinpoint it with one question. The 4th floor is out because Sarsa was previously hidden there, and Akizuki wouldn't risk Sarsa spotting her and telling Shinohara. As for the 3rd floor, its right half is above Shinohara, and its left half below Sarsa. There's a chance they might hear her, so that's ruled out too. By the same logic, the left half of the 5th floor is also ruled out, since it's above Sarsa. That leaves the 6th floor and the right half of the 5th floor, but even those can be narrowed down. Akizuki is smart. She'll hide her somewhere unreachable within 3 moves or multiples thereof, to make it harder for him. After all this elimination, only the 3 classrooms he asked about remain. Honestly, my friend, that's genius. Akizuki decides to take a risk and says, Fine, if that's how it is, this time, I'll hide her in a random spot. Let's see you find her now. On her turn, she uses another attempt and relocates Himaji, leaving herself with only 1 attempt left. She then asks 2 questions and deduces that Sarsa is on the 2nd floor. Now it's only a matter of time before she finds her too. It's Shinohara's turn, and Sarsa tells him, We're back to square one. There's no way to know Himaji's location now. But Shinohara replies, I have something prepared. Yes, it's risky, but I trust Himagi. He checks the time, it's almost 9 o'clock. Just 1 more hour, and they'll be able to find her. Sarsa doesn't understand, but she decides to go along with it. He uses his 2nd attempt and relocates Sarsa. Then he starts stalling, waiting until the very last second of his turn. Finally, they reach the 5th round. Both have used 2 attempts, but Akizuki is getting closer. It's Shinohara's turn again. As usual, he stalls and tells her, Before this turn ends, I'll have pinpointed Himaji's location. Akizuki laughs. You're dreaming. It's only a matter of time before I win. He keeps staring at his phone, pretending not to notice her. Then, finally, it hits 10 o'clock. Shinohara announces, Himaji's hiding spot is classroom 2 on the 5th floor, directly below. Akizuki is shocked. He adds, By the way, that wasn't a question, and lucky for me, it's close by. Akizuki is losing her mind. How does he know? Let me tell you what happened, my friend. Earlier, when he ran into Himaji, he sent her a coded message. It'll get cold around 10 o'clock. Normally, that's just an ordinary sentence no one would think twice about. But what he really meant was for her to turn on the air conditioner at 10. In most schools, there's a control room where you can monitor the AC units, and that's exactly where Shinohara moved Sarsa. Yes, my friend. As soon as it hit 10, Himagi turned on the AC. Sarsa identified her location and relayed it to him. He walks confidently toward the classroom and uses his final attempt. Answer. The door opens. The treasure has been found. The winner is Shinohara. But at that moment, Akizuki starts laughing. Finally, you've used your last attempt. She activates her 3rd ability, Alternate Future, an illegal ability that allows her to delete the opponent's last action. She deletes his answer as if it never happened. The game isn't over yet. She moves 6 squares, reaches the control room, and shamelessly uses her last answer attempt to open the door. The treasure is found. Akizuki is the winner. She sneers. So you were his partner? I feel like I've seen you before. Sarsa removes her disguise, revealing herself. The game was fun, so I decided to join in. But it seems you weren't strong enough to beat him. She's shocked and says, But I actually won. I'm the 7th star now. At that moment, Shinohara arrives and tells her, Unfortunately, the person you defeated wasn't me. He pulls out the card Sarsa gave him and says, This ability is called Substitute Player, a special ability that allows you to swap places with someone outside the game, provided they agree. Shinohara used it at the last moment and swapped places with Himaji. In other words, the person you just defeated is Himaji. And, since she lost, the program will transfer from her device to the winner's device, which is now you. The tables have turned. The program transfers to Akizuki. Akizuki is cornered. Her own cheating has backfired. Our protagonist is unmatched when it comes to cheating. He tells her, You'd better tell us everything. Your game is up. After a moment, she begins to speak. She explains that ever since she arrived at the academy, she always felt ordinary. The schools here don't accept just anyone. Intelligence and talent talent aren't enough. You need to come from a good family and have status. She always felt inferior, so she tried to compensate by working even harder, hoping to become someone great and be accepted by everyone. In her first year, she joined the best class. By her second year, she reached 5 stars. This year, she was so close to finally reaping the rewards of all her efforts, but then Shinohara arrived and destroyed her dreams. That's when someone appeared before her and told her to cheat and do whatever it took to steal Shinohara's stars. In return, he would help her achieve her dream. That person is Korogashi Mikado, the director of Seigo Academy in District 12. Shinohara asks, "Didn't you try to refuse?" She replies, "He's an academy director. I couldn't do anything against him. The only thing I regret is trying to hurt your servant." Shinohara forgives her and says gently, "I'm the strongest in this academy. Whether it's a director or anyone else, it doesn't matter to me. Rest easy. This game is over." Shortly after, Korogashi summons her and says, "You've disappointed me. After everything I gave you, all those illegal abilities, you still couldn't defeat one cheater? You owe me. From now on, you'll be my servant." Suddenly, Shinohara bursts in, having recorded everything he said. Everyone on the island has seen and heard what happened. Shinohara tells him, "I suggest you smile. It'll make for a better picture." And just like that, he saves Akizuki. The game is finally over. The next day, Korogashi is removed from his position, and the news spreads throughout the academy. The director is gloating and announces, "Today is the final day of the event. The 2 survivors of the elimination battle are, first, the 7th star, our protagonist, Shinohara, and second, Akizuki. Yes, my friend, even after everything, she defeated Himeji and remains in the event." The director declares, "Now is the time to determine who will be the top player of the academy." But Akizuki interrupts and says she has no intention of fighting Shinohara. She admits, "I used illegal methods and cheated while everyone else played fairly. I don't deserve to be in this event." She's about to withdraw, but Shinohara stops her and says, "That was Korogashi's fault, not yours. Besides, even without the cheating, I'm sure you would have achieved a high rank. You're not ordinary like you think you're truly special." It seems his conscience is bothering him for stealing her efforts, so he decides to forfeit the first place to her. He tells her, "I'm already the strongest in the academy. I don't need this event." Akizuki is moved and promises to work even harder to reach his level. She asks all the students to support her, and the crowd cheers. And so, the event officially ends with Akizuki as the winner. Now, on to the main event, the Inter-Academy Tournament. As mentioned, the top 5 finishers in the event will represent the academy. The director begins announcing them. In 5th place, the professional servant, Himagi, who made a comeback and won 4 games in 1 day. In 4th place, the 6-star student, Asamiya Nensei. In 3rd place, the 6-star student council president, Anamoto Shinji. In 2nd place, our protagonist, the 7th star, Shinohara Hiruto. And last but not least, in 1st place, Akizuki Noa. These 5 will represent Emi Academy in the Inter-Academy Tournament. The celebration ends. On their day off, Shinohara and Sarsa go incognito to a certain place. Shinohara tells her he received the green star in exchange for letting Akizuki take 1st place. So now, Shinohara possesses 3 colored stars. They arrive at the ability shop, the same place where Sarsa bought the card we saw earlier. She tells him, "This shop sells amazing stuff." They browse and buy a few things before heading back to the accommodation. The next day, Shinohara and the others hold a meeting to discuss their strategy for the Inter-Academy Tournament. On the way, Akizuki informs him that Shinji and Asamiya Nensei are childhood friends. Despite each claiming to hate the other, they always spend their time together. When they arrive at the meeting room, they find them arguing. The meeting begins, and Himagi starts explaining the tournament system. The game they'll be playing is called Astrail, a base occupation battle featuring 100 players. The concept is simple. You occupy bases and try to expand them. The game will start in Zone 0. And the playing field will be divided into 1 million squares. Every 2 squares you occupy form a line, and so on, until you create a polygon shape. At that point, all the squares inside it will be filled and become part of your team's territory. Every hour, new skills called incantations will be released to help you in battle. Incantations have a time limit, meaning while you're using an incantation, you cannot make any moves for a certain period. This period varies from player to player based on their action points. In Astrail, there are 5 positions to choose from, and no repeats are allowed. To win, you must either occupy all enemy territories or defeat all other teams. If time runs out, the team with the largest territory wins. Each player has 5 life points, which regenerate at the end of each period. However, if a player loses their 5th life point, they are eliminated. If all team members lose their life points and their territory is fully occupied, that team is disqualified from the tournament. The game will last 5 days, each day divided into 2 periods, totaling 10 periods for the tournament. The entire island will be watching, so they need to give it their all. Oh, and by the way, there will be a secondary tournament running alongside Astrale. The winner of that side tournament will receive an invitation card, allowing them to join Astrale as a sixth team member. That's all the information so far. The rest of the details will be announced in the coming days. Now, my friend, on to the most important part, action points and player positions. Himaji tells them to check the newly released app. Under each player's name, their action points and star count are displayed. Action points are like a player's overall ranking, calculated based on skills and combat record. They are divided into 25 levels. The lower the number, the better. For example, Akizuki's action points are 6, while Shinohara, the 7th star, has 3. Everyone is surprised by his high ranking. Of course, that number is fake. His real action points are 19, but Kaguya manipulated the display. Now, onto the positions. These will be crucial in forming winning strategies. Each of the 5 positions has a special ability and requires specific action points to be selected. For example, the soldier position can use the sword incantation and requires action points no lower than 9. And here's the problem, my friend. Our boy Shinohara is faking his action points. If he chooses any position like soldier or spy, it's only a matter of time before he's exposed, since his real action points are 19. The only solution is for him to take the commander position. This position doesn't require high action points, as it relies on planning and issuing orders. At the same time, he can use it as an excuse, pretending to use the position's abilities, while the company is actually cheating for him, any other position, and he'd be exposed. They start choosing. Asamiya says she'll take the soldier position, her action points are 5, and she has quick reflexes. Akizuki chooses the spy, since stealth and setting traps are her specialty. Himaji picks the defender. So far, everything is going according to plan. Shinohara asks Shinji about his choice, and Shinji explains, the foundation of this game is the commander. The commander's duties include gathering intel, analyzing enemy movements, drawing up strategies, and giving instructions, all things that fall under my expertise as student council president. Shinohara has a problem. If he doesn't secure this position, his lie will eventually be exposed. But if he can't deceive his allies before his enemies, he might as well give up. He proposes a deal. One of the commander's abilities allows you to swap positions with one person during the game. Let me take it first, and if my performance doesn't satisfy you, I promise to swap with you. Shinji thinks it over and agrees, but with a condition. Shinohara must defeat 3 team leaders by the end of the 3rd day. If he fails, he hands over the commander position. Of course, it's an impossible condition, but Shinohara has no choice but to accept. He tells Shinji, fine, if I can't do it, not only will I give you the position, but I'll also speak to you with respect for the rest of my life. And so the tournament meeting ends. That night, while Shinohara is sleeping, he gets a call from Sarsa. We have a problem! A new Saionji Sarsa has appeared and is threatening me. Oh no! She shows him the video she received. Sure enough, the girl is an exact copy of her. She shamelessly says, hello, impersonator. How about we play a game? The game will be during the Inter-Academy tournament. Whoever among us defeats the 7th star, Shinohara, will be the real Saionji Sarsa. If I defeat him, you'll hand over Saionji Sarsa's device and everything related to her. If you win, you can continue playing your role. You'd better not refuse, otherwise I'll be forced to expose you. The video ends and Sarsa is about to pull her hair out. Shinohara calms her down, saying, this must be Koragashi's doing. He's the only one who could pull something like this. He definitely wants revenge after what happened. They go to Kaguya, and Shinohara explains the tournament system to her, begging for her help. He makes it clear. He needs to convince his allies. He's using commander abilities, defeat 3 team leaders, to meet Shinji's condition, take down Sarsa's lookalike, and win a straw all at the same time. Anything else? While he's at it? Suddenly, she has an idea and tells him, this is going to be costly, but the company will try to access the tournament servers and borrow some data to help you. They all think, we don't know what we'd do without you. Himaji asks him which abilities he plans to use in the tournament. He replies that in the first slot, he'll use the blue star ability, Black Wings. In the second slot, the green star ability, which predicts events. As for the third slot, he hasn't decided yet. Himaji tells him that this time, she's prepared a special ability for the tournament that she was saving for emergencies. It's called Exchange, and it allows her to swap one ability with a teammate. She could use it on Shinohara and exchange an extra ability with him. Honestly, a very useful ability. Finally, night falls. Before sleeping, he calls someone and says he needs a favor. The next morning, the first day of the tournament arrives. The location appears to be a desert, which is supposed to be the game field. Then the technology kicks in, and the area around them transforms into a virtual world. The Saionji company never disappoints. Each team member chooses their position, and finally, Astrale begins. They see a green zone in front of them. That's the start of their territory. To their left is a white zone, a neutral area they attempt to occupy. Himaji steps on the occupation command, and a 9-0 second count countdown begins. During that time, Himaji cannot move or use any incantations. After 90 seconds, the zone turns green, becoming part of their base. They analyze what just happened. Himagai explains that her action points are 9, meaning the occupation duration is 10 times her action points. They need to find a solution to that long wait time. Akizuki puts her mind to work and uses numerical adjustment skills, managing to reduce the time to 6 seconds. Much more reasonable. Now all they need is someone to protect her during that short window. They review the rest of the information. Shinohara notes that their action points decrease by 2 digits when they're inside their own territory. So, the more they expand, the better their mobility becomes. They continue exploring, and Shinohara uses a search ability to locate nearby bases. One is to the north, another to the east. After some thought, they decide to head east. But first, they need to learn how to use incantations. Everyone tries them out. Suddenly, Himaji disappears, only to pop up behind Shinohara and startle them. That was the invisibility incantation. Himaji explains that the duration for using the incantation was 18 seconds. With her action points at 9, that means the incantation duration is twice her action points. They spend the entire first day exploring and analyzing. By the end of the day, Oka Academy is leading the tournament with the most occupied territory, but of course, it's still only the first day. Afterwards, they sit down to eat. During the meal, Kuisagi approaches Shinohara and says, "Finally, my chance for revenge has come to me." He vows that he and his team will crush Emi Academy and take the top spot in the tournament, then leaves. As they continue eating, Himaji starts introducing them to the other teams from various academies. From 7th District, Shenra Academy last year, they managed to secure 3rd place. This year, their team is even stronger, especially one player considered their most dangerous, Karigaya Toya, a 6-star player known as the Absolute King. His fighting style is so brutal that several students have surrendered and left the island after losing to him. The second person they need to watch out for is this girl, Kurorogi Senri, the leader of Suyo Girls Academy. If they ever encounter her, they need to run fast. She possesses a dangerous ability called one-hit kill. If the conditions are met, she can eliminate players with a single strike. Kurorogi overhears them and says, "Isn't it shameful to talk about someone behind their back?" She then addresses Shinohara. "I've heard about you. They say you have an extraordinary ability to devise winning strategies against anyone. You graduated from an American university at 5, then a secret organization took you in and trained you until your skills were fully developed. Of course, all of that is a lie. Rumors spread by the company to boost his popularity." She concludes, "Anyway, no matter how strong you are, my team will win," and leaves. They finish eating, and everyone heads to their rooms to rest. That night, Shinohara wakes up and goes looking for something to eat. While wandering, he encounters a little girl trying to get some chocolate. He gives her one and asks, "What are you doing here? This whole place is reserved for our tournament. Judging by your age, you're still in middle school, you're definitely not a participant." She explains that her older sister works for Libra organization and asked her to join the side tournament running alongside Astrale. She shows him her card, which is a room key, so she's not lying. He looks into her eyes and notices each one is a different color. She claims it's because she's special and that her right eye can see the future. Of course, they're just colored contacts, but she's committed to the role. Shinohara is about to leave, but she grabs him and asks him to play with her. Faced with those eyes, he can't refuse. They play every game imaginable, and some that aren't, until she gets tired and falls asleep. He carries her back to her room, only to find it covered in pizza, chips, and absolute chaos. Just as he's about to leave, she wakes up, says she's hungry, and asks him to make her dinner. The day ends. The next day in the tournament, they face another team. The opposing team leader proposes forming a temporary alliance, with the option to set a penalty if they wish. Shinohara and his group like the idea and are about to agree. But suddenly Asamiya acts recklessly and attacks one of them. Everyone is shocked by her behavior. Asamiya simply says there's no time to explain. The battle begins, and Shinji rushes to support her, effectively ending the negotiations. The second day ends. Fortunately, they manage to defeat the opposing team and occupy their territory. But Shinji keeps yelling at Asamiya for acting on impulse and attacking without any plan. "The same thing happened last year," he shouts. "You acted on your own, and we kept messing around until we eventually lost to a team weaker than us. I'm not losing again because of your stupidity." Being a girl, she gets hurt by his words, leaves the group, and walks away. Clearly, teamwork isn't at its best right now. The next day, a video spreads of a mysterious player betraying his own team, leading them into a surprise trap. He then draws his sword and brutally eliminates all of them. His identity is revealed, and the shocker is that it's Sarsa's lookalike. She laughs and says, "Playtime has begun." But the biggest shock comes at the end of the third day. Shinohara decides to commit suicide. He grabs a gun and shoots himself. "Yes, my friend," Shinohara has been eliminated from the tournament. We rewind to the beginning of the third day to find out what happened. After the video of Sarsa's lookalike spreads, Shinohara deduces that she can not only mimic Sarsa's appearance, but also impersonate any player and deceive their team. Himaji tells them they need to stay close to one another, so she can't fool them. After some thought, they agree that no more than 2 people should move together at a time. They finish breakfast, and Shinohara goes to play with the little girl he met the day before. He asks, "Don't you have school?" She replies, "No, school is boring, and I don't like studying. I just want to play with you." Eventually, exhausted from all the playing, she falls asleep. He then meets Sarsa and explains the situation. He tells her about his bet with his teammate. If he doesn't take down the 2 remaining leaders today, he'll have to swap positions with him. Sarsa panics. "Oh no, we'll be exposed," he replies. "That's why I came to you. I have a plan that will flip the game and let us end Astrali at the top." The first period of the third day begins. The same thing repeats. Sarsa's lookalike impersonates a player and wipes out their entire team. Meanwhile, Shinohara and his team are moving together, but Asamiya is ahead of them. Shinji starts arguing with her again, calling her reckless and accusing her of not caring about the team's interest. Shinohara is frustrated, but doesn't know what to do. Suddenly, a smoke incantation activates around them, and no one can see anything. Now they won't know if one of them has been replaced. The smoke clears, and Shinji starts suspecting Asamiya. He asks her, "What did you buy me for my birthday last year?" Asamiya gets angry. "You're suspecting me? What guarantees that you're not the fake one?" They keep arguing in front of everyone, with Shinohara stuck in the middle, unsure what to do. Luckily for them, at that moment, the game bell rings, signaling the end of the first period. The first period ends, and Asamiya says, "I'm tired of your suspicion. I'm not continuing." She tells them she won't participate anymore, and leaves. Looks like Shinji went a bit too far. Shinji then says, "I'm sorry, but there's a high chance I won't be able to play today either." Shinohara asks, "What about our bet?" Shinji replies, "It doesn't matter anymore. I wasn't fit for this position from the start." He leaves too. The second period begins, and neither of them shows up. So Shinohara and his team are now playing 2 players short. Worse, Kajiya calls and tells him they're surrounded. 2 teams are approaching from the north and south, and one of them is likely the one that used the smoke incantation on them. So, on top of playing short-handed, they now have to face 2 teams at once. Shinohara tells them, "I have a plan, but no one knows if it'll work or not." Minutes later, they're cornered by both teams. And to make matters worse, it's the girl they were warned about earlier, Kurorogi Senri. She smirks and says, "What a shame. I was hoping to face you with your full team, not that it would change the outcome." They begin executing their plan. Himaji and Akizuki decide to handle the second team, leaving Shinohara alone against the girls' team. Kurorogi laughs. "Have you lost your mind? There's no way you can beat us alone." Shinohara replies calmly, "I alone am enough." Suddenly, he uses a fire incantation and hits one of them. Before they can react, he follows up with a second and third incantation. Her life points drop to 0. First player eliminated. Everyone is stunned. At that moment, Himaji appears, revealing she had been using her invisibility ability the whole time. She was the one actually attacking them. Kurorogi gets furious and uses her ability. With one strike, Himaji blocks with her shield, but her life points drop to 1. If she hadn't used the shield, she would have been eliminated. Shinohara decides to retreat and starts using an occupation incantation while running, claiming territory to give himself a movement advantage. Kurorogi, enraged by his audacity, chases him with her team. Amidst all this, Himaji tells him she has an idea. If it works, they can eliminate another player. She positions herself, and Kurorogi uses her ability again, but to everyone's shock, the ability activates on one of her own teammates, eliminating her. Himaji had used numerical adjustment, swapping her coordinates with Kurorogi's teammate, all calculated in seconds. The second player is gone. The chase continues. Shinohara keeps using the occupation incantation to improve his mobility, but Kurorogi is confident, saying, "It's only a matter of time before he runs out of incantations." Suddenly, one of the traps activates, and Kurorogi loses her third player. Kurorogi is baffled. Where did that trap come from? Of course, there's only one answer, my friend. Akizuki had been planting traps all along while pretending to flee. This was all part of their plan. Kurorogi tells him, "You're just like the rumors say, but unfortunately, your plan has a fatal flaw. Throughout the chase, you've been using a large number of incantations. By my count, you've used 35, meaning you've exhausted all of them." Shinohara is shocked. "You calculated all that during the battle?" Himaji tries to protect him, but at that moment, one of Kurorogi's teammates uses the Medusa Eye ability, freezing her in place. "Our victory is guaranteed now." Shinohara laughs and says, "You're not the only one who's been calculating. According to my analysis, your ability requires the support of your teammates to work, right?" Kurorogi replies, "You've misunderstood. Actually, the one-hit kill ability has a stronger effect when I'm alone. That's why I used a second ability to modify it, so I can only use it in the presence of allies." She then eliminates her own teammate and declares, "I was the strongest from the start. Now, get ready to die." She activates her ability and attacks, but to her shock, Shinohara uses a teleport incantation, then summons his sword and strikes back. Kurogi is stunned. How? You should have run out of incantations. Shinohara laughs. Who said I was using the occupation incantation? That was just your imagination. All I was doing was using Blackwing's Kusagi's ability, my friend, the one that creates visual effects. I was just changing the color of the squares, barely used any incantations at all. He summons his sword, but Kurogi uses her last ability, electronic interference, and freezes him in place. For myself and my team, I cannot afford to lose here. She decides to retreat from the area. Shinohara is confused. If she had used an attack incantation, she could have finished me off. Why did she do that? At that moment, Akizuki returns and tells him she eliminated the other two, but there's something strange. Even though we defeated them, Emi's territory hasn't expanded at all. Shinohara checks the map and sees that their territory is exactly the same. What's going on here? He thinks for a moment, then says, listen carefully. I need you to trust me and do exactly as I say. He gives them specific instructions, then picks up a gun and shoots himself. And that, my friend, is what happened. The second period ends, and Shinji apologizes to Shinohara for not showing up. Because of me, you were put in a tough spot and almost lost. Shinohara asks him, I just want to know one thing. Did you actually suspect Asamiya was Sarsa's lookalike? Shinji answers honestly, no, I said that to provoke her. She may be reckless, but she's kind and genuine. She wouldn't have handled suspicion and pressure well. If she had stayed, she would have cracked. So I tried to anger her enough to make her leave the game. Asamiya, who overheard everything, now understands the truth. Shinohara adds, I reviewed our live feed and noticed something important. The guy Asamiya attacked was actually preparing a fire incantation they were planning to ambush us. Asamiya did the right thing. She replies, you never gave me a chance to explain. Anyway, it doesn't matter now. She tells them that Shinohara killed himself. Shinji asks, why did you do that? Just to win the bet? Shinohara replies, honestly, the bet isn't the only reason. Sarsa's lookalike has turned the tournament upside down. She now has an entire army under her control. I had to think outside the box. Don't worry, everything is going according to plan. Night falls. Shinohara and Sarsa go to meet Kazuma, a reporter from Libra organization. Shinohara asks directly, in the video of Sarsa's lookalike betraying her team, you looked upset, yet you still portrayed her as a hero. Why would you cover for someone like that? Kazuma begins to explain. Sarsa's lookalike is actually an unregistered player, not affiliated with any academy. She uses a fake account, and someone inside the administration is helping her. That's how she has full control over various abilities and skills. If she keeps winning, it'll be the biggest scandal in the academy's history. When I found out, I felt responsible. If I had spoken up, Libra would have taken the blame. Astrale is the event students wait for all year. I spent so much time planning to make it a success, and I don't want Libra ruined by a cheater like her. She asks for their help. Shinohara tells her, I'm the strongest in this academy. Even if she's a cheater, it doesn't matter to me. Kazuma takes them to the control room and reveals that Sarsa's lookalike is using an ability called Unified Army. This ability allows her to absorb all other teams into her army, promising them second place if she wins. That gives them a strong incentive to help her, including Kurogi, which explains why she retreated during their battle. At least this way, she guarantees second place. Among the teams that have joined her are Karagaya Toya, holder of the Black Star, and Kuisagi Saran, former holder of the Blue Star. Defeating her won't be easy. Shinohara tells them, we still have a chance. Sarsa's lookalike has less than half the teams in her army. If we can gather the remaining teams under one banner, we can win. But the question is, how do we do that? He continues, we need to motivate them. If I make a comeback and re-enter Astral, that should be enough to rally them. Shinohara's plan is to join the side tournament running alongside Astral. If he can win it, he'll earn an invitation card that allows him to re-enter Astral. Himaji warns him, tomorrow is the fourth day. You need to win the tournament tomorrow to make it back before Astrale ends. Kazuma adds, the fastest way to win is by defeating the final boss of the game. And the final boss, my friend, is an external player from the middle school division. Yes, you guessed it. The little girl Shinohara met by chance, Shana Tsumugi. What a coincidence. She's the final boss he has to beat. The next day, Shinohara enters the side tournament. Kazuma accompanies him in the form of her pet animal to support him. She tells him to check his device and begins explaining the game system. The game consists of 3 core elements: cards, missions, and coins. The cards are numbered from 1 to 9, and their total determines your pet's level. Each player starts with 3 level 1 cards and must work to raise them to level 9. There are 5 mission stages, and in each stage, you must defeat your opponent's pet by matching its level. In short, it's a matching and numbers game. To increase your card levels, you have 2 options. Either nurture them with support cards, or exchange them with others paying the difference in coins. They don't have time for nurturing, so they'll go with exchanges. Just then, someone approaches him and says, finally, we meet. Shinohara asks, who are you? This guy, my friend friend is the team leader who had proposed an alliance earlier. He himself didn't even remember. A player from Kurogi's team comes up and asks, "What cards do you need? I'm willing to exchange for 100 coins." Shinohara asks, "Why would you suddenly want to help me?" She replies, "You're trying to defeat Sarsa's lookalike, right? Our leader, Kurogi, is being used, but she was forced to ally with her because of our weakness. We want you to return to Astrale and defeat her so Kurogi can finally be free." Shinohara tells her, "I'm not doing this for you, but I promise you, I will defeat her." He exchanges cards with her and reaches level 6 right from the start of the game. Now he needs to find an opponent at the same level to defeat and move to the next stage. He finds a suitable opponent and decides to challenge him. Using support cards, he easily matches his number and wins, completing the first stage in no time. But to progress quickly, he'll need coins. That's when a crazy idea strikes him. He goes to the exchange shop and says he wants to swap a number card for a regular card. All the players are shocked. The organizer asks, "Are you sure?" "Number cards are the most important thing in the game," Shinohara replies. "Just give me the difference. Mind your own business." The organizer calculates the difference and announces 100,000 coins. Everyone is stunned. Now he literally has no coin problems. He continues advancing stage by stage. Thanks to the coins, he's able to recover the number card he sold, but he needs to exchange them for level 9 cards as quickly as possible. Luckily, he runs into 2 teammates from Emi Academy, who show him the cards they have. Both of them have level 9 cards. They tell him, "We'll exchange with you for free. You're the only one who can change Emi's future if you win here and return to Astrale." He makes the exchange, and now he officially has 3 level 9 cards. All that's left is to defeat the final boss. At that moment, Kaguya calls and tells him she's managed to hack the system, but unfortunately, she can't access Shena's actual level. "Try to figure out her level, and I'll handle the rest." Just then, that guy whose name I can't remember finishes his cards and challenges the final boss. "Shina," he says, "watch and learn, Shinohara. I'll be the 7th star." He uses a support skill on his cards, raising them to level 11, making his pet's total 33. But Shina tells him, "Wrong. My pet isn't that weak." "But how? The max is 33? She orders her pet to finish him off, and the game ends with the boss's victory. Now it's Shinohara's turn. He arrives at the challenge area, and Shina is excited, confident he can't beat her. Shinohara wonders, "It's just a numbers game. Why is she so sure she won't lose?" He thinks and asks, "There's only one possibility your level is in the negative, isn't it?" Shina is surprised. "You're right. My level is -99, a number no one can possibly reach." That's why she was so confident. But what she doesn't know is that our protagonist is the biggest cheater around. Now that Kaguya knows her level, the game begins. Kaguya manipulates her level, making it 30 the same as Shinohara's. Since they're at the same level, the challenger wins. The winner is Shinohara Hiruto. Shina is delighted and says, "Awesome! I never thought anyone could beat me. You're really something." But at that moment, Shinohara's expression changes. He asks her directly, "Answer me honestly. You're Sarsa's lookalike, aren't you?" And to his surprise, she replies, "Yes, I am Sarsa's lookalike, so she's the one behind all that chaos." She tells him, "Bravo for figuring it out, but from now on, things get serious. Next time, we'll compete in Astrale." After the game ends, Shinohara heads to the control room. Luckily, the tournament hasn't finished yet. He grabs the mic and announces, "The strongest in the academy is here, the fastest person to reach 7 stars." Everyone is shocked. Shinohara tells them he won the side tournament and is back. He decides to execute his plan. "I've discovered something. Sarsa's lookalike isn't a real player. She's just a fictional character created to increase the game's entertainment value. Every single one of you is among the strongest players in your academy. Are you really going to let a fictional character beat you? I, for one, won't stand for it. If we all ally together, we can defeat her. And your leader will be the 7th star himself. What do you say?" The speech motivates them. Several team leaders decide to ally with him. Their territories merge with Emi's zone. They've made a comeback. Shinohara says, "Perfect. Now it's time to attack." He uses his invitation card and returns to Astrale in style. "Welcome back." They review the situation. Himagi tells them, "After convincing the remaining teams to join us, we now have 20 players in our army. Sarsa's lookalike has only 14. Numerically, we have the advantage, but individually, they outmatch us in raw power. Kurogi alone is worth an entire team." Shinohara adds, "Not only that, Sarsa's lookalike uses illegal methods to modify anything she wants. She's boosted her abilities to maximum level, and her life points are 999, practically unbeatable. But there is one way to defeat her: Kurogi's one-hit kill ability. Even with 999 life points, that ability could take her down. So if they can defeat Kurogi and convince her to help them, they have a chance. They devise a plan. They ask Shinji to try to occupy the territory around them, giving them a movement advantage. Meanwhile, Shinohara will play the decoy, luring the enemy until Shinji finishes. The plan is set. Everyone moves to their tasks. At the same time, the Alliance Army Shinohara formed declares war on the unified army, trying to surround them from all directions. The matchups are as follows. Sarsa's team will face Sarsa's lookalike. Kuisagi and Toya will face members of the Alliance Army. And finally, Shinohara's team will face Kurogi. Who will win? And at Shinohara's end, Shinji has completed his mission. The territory around them has been absorbed into their own. The battle begins, with each of them eager to take down the 7th star. Meanwhile, Shinji and Akizuki circle around and ambush them from behind. Asamiya pounces on the remaining players and eliminates them. Now, only Kurogi and one other teammate remain. Kurogi activates her ability and eliminates the first opponent with a single strike. Asamiya decides to attack her, with Shinji providing support from a distance. Kurogi uses her ability on Asamiya, but Shinji surprises her by canceling it with a support ability. Seizing the opportunity, Asamiya unleashes her strongest ability and overcomes her. Shinohara's team emerges victorious. Afterwards, they talk with Kurogi. Shinohara tells her, "I met one of your teammates while I was in the side tournament. Your team members were furious that you were forced to join Sarsa's lookalike's army before the battle even ended. If you don't want to disappoint them further, I need a favor from you. I don't now." On the other side, Sarsa's team has been completely wiped out. She was stalling for time, waiting for Shinohara to send reinforcements. Back to our protagonist. Shinohara finally faces the strongest trio of the unified army, Karigaya Toya, holder of the Black Star, Kuisagi, former holder of the Blue Star, and a girl named Shizuko. Toya tells him, "We've been ordered to finish you off and make sure you never come back." Shinohara now confirms that Toya is also working for Koragashi. The clash begins.